Hello there, folks.
Hi there.
It's another episode of Würfel Cast, episode 77. Oh, it's a lucky number, 77.
Is it?
And
Okay.
one more 7 and we'll be... Oh, yeah. Too many episodes. We need to do
That's
700
true.
episodes. Yeah. Will we be alive by that time? I hope so.
Okay.
700 more episodes. We start on a high note, you know.
I guess.
So today's episode is, as usual, there's no special thing going on, as we had last few episodes. We had this kind of we've got special going on with Dice of Cruise and something else, and my board game collection kind of a thing. Mm-hmm. And now we're back to this usual format. We might change the format eventually to something else. We always do. We experiment. As long as it's fun for you and for us. So, but today's topic of the day is first impression, second chance.
Yeah, sure. Why not?
We'll do that one a little bit differently, just a little bit. We'll get to that. But first, of course, we get to recent plays, and we'll be able to talk about some cool games that we played recently. Let me just do my magic while you, sir, talk about the game.
Okay, so I'm going to talk about a game, but it's a game I've talked about before because I played it before. This is playing it with its not even brand new anymore, but new expansion. I got the expansion toward the end of last year and just had never had a chance to really get it out, and that is the Immortality expansion for Dune Imperium.
Okay.
So Dune Imperium is a game that, it's one of the better games that's come out in the last several years, and it's one that every time I get it out and I mess with it, I like it more and more, which is always a good thing. It has 2 expansions. The Rise of Ix was an interesting one that I quite enjoyed, but this Immortality expansion, it really adds a couple of things. So to set the baseline, Dune Imperium, you're kind of buying cards and using the cards to place workers on the board and participating in some conflicts to try and get various rewards. As you gain points, you're going to push yourself slowly toward 10, and that's going to trigger the end of the game unless you decide to play to more. There are some variants for that. The new Immortality expansion, what it does is it adds really this extra little sideboard, which is just 2 tracks. And so it replaces 2 of the most boring cards of the base game with slightly better versions that allow you to kind of mess with these tracks. And then as you go up one of the tracks, you'll get points and some rewards. And as you go up the other, you're going to get access to something called samples. And you're going to take your little soldier pieces and put them on this other board. And then there's a separate market of cards, only ever 2 at a time, plus one that's always there, kind of like the Goblin and Clank. And you can use the soldiers that are there as resources to buy these cards. And they do new and interesting things. And that's really what it is. It's a pretty good expansion because it's very easy to add in. There's really not a whole lot of extra rules. It's just when you see this symbol, it means go to this track. And, this is what you use to buy these two cards. Super simple. You can also combine certain cards. You can graft them to each other. It just means playing 2 cards at one time and using the symbols on both of them. Not all that exciting, but sometimes they do bonus things. But it really, it's one of those expansions that just makes me want to play Dune Imperium more. I don't know if I like it better or worse or less. I don't know. I don't know if I like it more or less than the first expansion. It definitely is a smoother and easier expansion to incorporate than the first one. The first one had a lot of slightly quirky rules around, these new troops that could come in, and sometimes they counted like troops and sometimes they didn't. And there was a little bit of weirdness there. It's not a whole lot of extra rules anyway. And I have played with both of them as well, and it's not, it's a fairly seamless experience. Anyway, that's my quick thoughts on the Immortality expansion for Dune Imperium. A great expansion to a great game.
All right. This is the one I
And
have
nothing to
not.
do with immortality.
Okay. As always. So I've not played this game due to me not really being interested in these in this, I don't know, topic or the book or franchise, let's say, as Dune. Not that much. Also, the looks of the game aren't the best for me. So I don't know. I cannot really, get myself to try this game. Also, there's a conflict going on and race to 10 points, is it? Or something like that. So all of these stuff is not really appealing to me, so I haven't tried it.
Well, I
But
have, and it's great.
yeah. So yeah. Saying nothing against the game, it might be really good. All right. So for my pick is something that I got from a certain friend of mine that you might know. You might have met that person in a mirror.
Okay. Oh,
And it's Wonderland's War. It's the
I
game,
see.
not the friend. Uh, his name is also Kyle.
Mm-hmm.
Last name Woods. It's
Got it.
you. Yeah, your brothers. Anyway, so this Wonderland's War. Yeah, I really. So I went to USA and to the cruise, and so Kyle was gracious enough to gift me this wonderful game. I don't know how hard it is to get it, but it's kinda like you said, in between prints. It's not out of print completely, but there was a new Kickstarter, but it's not so easy to get it right now.
That's true. It's
And
between printings.
and the other problem with the game was that the Druid City games and the Skybound separated when they're separate ways. With which the first Kickstarter was them working together, I think, and the second problem that people had is that there were some components missing in the game. Many people had complaints about components missing, but they couldn't file a complaint because Skybound was involved with that. Now there's no Skybound. Now it's Druid City game, and so they're like, oh, we don't have anything, so just return the game to the store if you are missing some components, which is, it sounds so dumb, but okay, whatever. Anyway, so all this controversy around the game isn't going to change my opinion on the game, because the game is really good. So now, Wonderland's War, as you might kind of get from the name of the game, has war elements. I mean, it's in the theme. It's an area control, area majority kind of a game. Yeah, there is fighting, but everything is done through this chips that you have, and that you like a chip pulling mechanism. It's a bag building mechanism. You build your chips. You have your starting chips that have this kind of a just a strength, and then eventually you might upgrade yourself based on your player board, and every player board is different, has different abilities, etc. You can upgrade your player board, and some of your chips become more powerful. Then you can buy from the common pool of chips, which each of them has some kind of abilities. So when you put them out, like for example, you throw out this chip, then when you put out the next chip, the previous grants this new chip twice the power, whatever. It's all this cool different stuff that kind of correlates to each other. These are deluxe chips. Usually they're cardboard, and there's the deluxe version of the game. There's the usual version of the game. So I have the usual version of the game, and I mean, it's enough. There are standees, and I like the standees because they are colored standees. Kind of I don't know if they are acrylic or something like that. They are not cardboard.
Yeah,
There's some kind of a plastic or something. Yeah, something like that.
Okay.
So it's good. But yeah, the whole premise of the game, you have these 5 regions that you put your troops in. Some of them are supporters that don't give you any strength, but they are basically a cannon fodder kind of. And then you have your, I wanted to say Atlanteans, Wonderlandians. And then you have your leader, he gives you things, and then you pull out the chips, and then you basically trying to get the control of or win the battle within each region to put out your castle to get the points for that region. It's a battle, but it's very Euro-y type battle. And the other cool mechanism of the game, except those chips, is the you have the 2 phases. You have Tea Party phase. If I can find the thing here. Okay, maybe something like that. Okay, you have a Tea Party phase, and you have this kind of a battle phase, war phase. And Tea Party phase is going around the table in kind of a rondel type of mechanism, grabbing the cards that will grant you supporters, troops, whatever. They'll grant you those extra chips from the common pool, etc. They'll grant you some abilities to throw away the shards, because as you collect shards, they become madness eventually. And madness chips are the ones that you don't want to pull out, because the madness chips can drive you mad, and you'll be out of battle, and then you can lose your strength, whatever else. All these cool different stuff. And the cards also have, so there are, you play it for like 3 rounds basically, and each time you get better and better cards. And with some cards you can get Atlanteans. I always say Atlanteans.
What game are you wanting to play?
So these are like the different chips and things. But Wonderlandians are the ones that are, they can also be chips or can also be troops. So they are either the miniatures, or let's say it's the standees in the base version, or the chips, which also grant you kind of a special ability, and you can use them as well. So a lot of cool stuff that you kind of build up. This is very meaty stuff here that you try to build up with your troops in different locations where you feel like you will win the battle. There's a little bit of luck involved with the chips, so you can be a little bit unlucky what you pull out, but it kind of evens out, because let's say you battle in 3 regions, that war phase. The first region, you don't have any luck, you pull out some bad chips. That means that the good chips are still in the bag. The second battle, you start pulling out those good chips. It evens out. If you are only concentrating on one particular region, that's your fault. Spread out a little bit. Try, even if you have like only 2 people there, you might still win if the others bust. It's there's always a chance. I like that. Everything evens out. So I wasn't sure if I will like the game, because it's like Wonderland's war. I was like, area control, war, battle. I didn't want to back it at that time. And now, as I played it, it's a solid 8 out of 10.
Oh, good.
Might be more. I'm thinking about buying. So there's a late pledge for they have the second Kickstarter for the mini expansion kind of a thing, and you can also buy the base game. You can buy the whole bundle. You can do everything, and you can buy the chips and whatever else, And so I'm thinking about late pledging the stuff and getting the cool plastic chips,
Sure.
or even just an expansion. We'll see.
Yeah.
I don't know exactly.
Well, I think the expansion is very small. From what I can tell from their Kickstarter,
mini.
It's like a $15 expansion. So it's really not that's not the point. The point was more for a reprint, but
true. So they might have the spare parts then, to maybe get people
you can get those pieces you're missing.
Yeah, I can get those pieces I'm missing, but I kind of replace them. They are not as essential as many other stuff. Like, for example, I would have the whole deck of cards missing. Oh, that's unplayable, But
right.
The other things are just they can easily be replaced. Yeah, it's shards of madness.
Shards of something.
Shards of madness. Yeah, and. Okay. it has new Wonderlandians, quest cards, and some short cardboard tokens. I don't know what they are. But I mean, like, more Wonderlandians. I like that.
Okay.
They're really
Well, there
cool.
you have it.
Anyway,
Well, I'm
Wonderlands
glad
4.
you enjoyed it.
Yeah, it's a really cool game. All right, let's get to the next topic, which is crowdfunding. Why crowdfunding? Because we look both at GameFound and Kickstarter. But today I looked at Kickstarter.
Yeah.
So, I mean, Kyle, why don't you start? Do you have a Kickstarter game?
I do.
You silly.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. So the one I have, just to mention briefly, and of course know nothing about it really, is the Blueprints of Mad King Ludwig, which
What?
is a yes, it's from the successful Mad King Ludwig line.
Oh,
in
no.
which there's one good game.
Oh, no. No.
There's
please.
now a flip and sketch game,
Oh, my.
which has nothing to do with roll and write, but it looks like you flip over cards and draw them on sheets of paper with colored pencils.
That looks cool.
And it's basically, it looks a lot like it would be kind of more in the, well, one thing is it would be is sort of a smaller table space than the core game. But it just looks like it's an interesting way to play the Mad King Ludwig Castle game. Kind of the same general rules. It doesn't look like there's a lot of new stuff. It does look like there's a lot in that box, which is kind of surprising because I was kind of hoping it would be a smaller game, but that is what it is. Anyway, I'm interested in. Well, you do need one of those if you're going to be playing with colored pencils.
Wow,
it looks like it comes
that's the
with,
first time I see that.
Well, I mean, pencils have to be sharpened. So yeah, it looks like it comes with a box of colored pencils for everybody, and then pads of paper, and you just kind of get up and go. I'm not sure how useful that playmat is, but anyway, it looks interesting. I'm looking forward to trying it. I usually like things that this company does. Not all the werewolf stuff, but most everything else I've enjoyed. So
yeah, so the deluxe one, which has the playmat and probably the color pencils, or does this one? Mm-hmm. This one has one box, and the deluxe one has 4 boxes of colored pencils. Ooh,
you need 4, otherwise you'd have to share.
Yes, but then you have to pay $70. I think I could get the colored pencils very cheap without paying $70 for that thing.
It wouldn't be in a box that says Mad King Ludwig on it.
Yeah, and it wouldn't have the game trace whatever thing going on there. I don't know.
Well, $70 is a lot for a roll and write game, but maybe
not even a roll and write, but just sketching game.
Sorry, a flip and sketch game. Excuse me.
Look, one day I think we'll get to the point with all of these games where, let's say, a new game comes out, and it comes out already.
We're at that point where a new game comes out.
No, it comes out, like, let's say there will be a new game, whatever comes out, the big game, and then there will be already like a sidekick game, which will be roll and write type game next to it right away. I'm sure we're getting there, because as I see it's just they try to get more money. It's
of course. So, they've sold me this King Ludwig game 2 times already. Why not sell it to me a 3rd time?
Look, I'm not against it. It's a business. It's business. Yeah, you have to make money. But at some point, when everybody starts doing roll and writes of the big games, it feels like it's like a tacked on kind of a thing. It's like they are forced to do that because everybody's doing that. But what's the purpose? The market will be overcrowded with that thing, and I'm sure this game will be forgotten in a year.
Maybe, unless it's amazing.
There are so many amazing games. Too many already.
There are lots of amazing games.
Stop making roll and writes of every possible game.
I promise I won't make one.
Thank you. Anyway.
There you are. You asked me to come up with a Kickstarter, and I did.
Outrageous. Ridiculous. Nonsense. All right. Look, look what I did. I think I did it on purpose. Looking at my crowdfunding, it's also on Kickstarter.
Is it also the same one? Oh,
It's also roll and write, but look, it's not exactly roll and write. It's roll and mow. It's where is that? I don't know. It doesn't even show that.
Okay.
Oh,
I'm confused.
You had to write it that way. Okay. Roll and meow.
Roll and meow.
Meow. Whatever. I'm doing my Estonian one. In Estonia, our cats do meow.
Okay.
Yes. My cat's too different. Anyway. So, yeah, I just saw this one. Just a little bit hilarious. It's yet another roll and write game, but it's with cats. I love cats. And that's why I chose it. I don't know if this game is great or not. I like the pictures of cats, cat burglars, etc. I mean,
so I looked at it, but it looked like it was a print and play only, and I'm always out when that's the case.
Oh, okay, yeah, print and play. I got it. Okay, I didn't look at it, but okay. You try to steal the loot, you roll your dice, you generate movement, and luck. You can generate some points and things on what you can do. You can generate meows to use special action. that's hilarious.
That's pretty hokey.
You can open locks, move around the map. I mean, might be cool. Might be just garbage. I don't know.
Well, you could always get it. It looks like it's relatively inexpensive, but then you have to print out that fancy sheet, and I got into some print and plays a couple of years ago, and I talked about a few of them, but I got out of that pretty quickly because it's kind of an annoying feature of games. I don't want to do all the work myself.
I know. I mean, like, I can find the dice pretty cheap, or take dice from somewhere else. I can, printing this one out at home. I know it will not be the finest print ever, but I have colored printers, so whatever, who cares, I just, write on that and use that up. And it's 16 euros versus the $70 of Matt King Ludwig roll and no, draw
but
and
it doesn't
sketch?
Come with flip and sketch, but it doesn't come with any colored pencils.
True, but yours doesn't come with the meow mechanism.
It's true. You can't generate meow to get special actions.
All right.
Anyway.
So this is my pick. It's just fun. I mean,
right.
16. Like, what's the 5 euros? Yeah, whatever. Yeah.
All right.
So now we get to another topic, which is buy, try, goodbye. So yeah, it's today's my turn to show Kyle 3 games. Mm-hmm. One of them he has to buy. We signed the contract. One of them he has to try, and one of them he has to throw in a garbage bin.
Okay, let's go.
I know what I know exactly what will be on the goodbye list. But I will still try. I will still try my best. So,
all right.
The first game I'm gonna throw out there, and I was surprised you haven't played it. You haven't rated it, so I assume you haven't played it. If you have, all right. The first game is Arctic Scavengers.
I have not played that game.
Oh, beautiful. So, Arctic Scavengers was, for me, one of those early gaming years game that I played a ton with my friends. All the time we get together, we play it, And so this game is all about deck building, of course, but it also has some side things going on there. So the initial play is that you do your own deck building kind of a thing, getting new cards. But what you do with those cards have the symbols on the side of them that give you various actions, like drawing more cards or, digging through the trash pile to get some useful stuff or junk. And then you can some of the cards have the medic ability that can kind of save your cards during the skirmish phase. Some cards have just a manpower to use during the skirmish phase. And you do all of that, and then all the cards you didn't want to use during your turn, you can leave for the skirmish phase. And when you leave them for the skirmish phase, when anybody has done their turn, you reveal those cards, and then you do some kind of a battle. So basically it's raw power, but some of the cards are like saboteurs or snipers, whatever. They can snipe other cards out of the way. You can also bluff. While, for example, if you look at your cards, like, I don't really want to do many actions during my turn, you can just put 4 cards into skirmish phase. They don't have to be the battle cards. They can be just useless junk. But you're scaring away other people. They're like, ooh, he put 4 cards in there. I don't think I'm able to compete with him. I'm not going to go into the skirmish phase. I'm not going to, contribute any cards in the skirmish. I'm going to use them right away. So there's a little bit of that bluffing going on, really juicy bluffing. I like that. And there are cards like medics that can save your people during the skirmish, etc. You are, in the skirmish phase, you are competing for a special card from the special pile. And you will be able to get that. It has some cool, whatever, huge ability, something like that. And this box I showed you here has the HQ and Recon expansion, etc. So there's a lot more content than I initially had when I had the very base box. And the box itself is a little bit more colorful and interesting. The initial box of Arctic Scavengers could be on the War Scavers pile there, but
okay.
But the whole thing about the theme, the post-apocalyptic theme, going through the digging pile and etc. So this is not your usual deck building. Like, oh, you have coins, you have actions on your cards. You do this Dominion style thing. It had this kind of a stacking things. Like, for example, if I play 2 cards with this card symbol, then I can draw 2 cards instead of just 1 card. You combine cards to get better of the actions. And eventually you're trying to get most people into your colony and win the game. So this is Arctic Scavengers.
All right.
So now the second game is something that you said you will not play again, but in a sense, like the system. But I think you need to at least try it in order to
okay.
in order to get a new opinion on it, give it a second chance. And that's Time Stories, but it's a new revolution, and it's Hadal Project. So, look, the second one in this series, in the new series, Revolution series, isn't the best. I like the Hadal Project more. So,
You're not selling me on this.
Look, no. The biggest, I tell you, the Hadal Project. The biggest difference in Hadal Project is that in the original Time Stories, it was a nuisance to go all over the same things, again and again and again, Groundhog's Day. At first it was cool, then it was a nuisance. Now in this one you manage the crystals, and the crystal management and the currency of time with the crystals lets you run through this thing in 1 or maybe 2 runs. It's if you manage them carefully, you can do everything in just 1 run and kind of have this kind of a cohesive, continuing story. You don't have to interrupt yourself with, and we need to go back now. It's really cool. It's much better. I like the art. The story is still there. There is the experience box, which has a little bit of that RPG elements, like in between those scenarios, you earn basically like experience points, and then you can use those points, and you can earn also some injuries and stuff. So your person becomes injured for the next run, but it becomes more experienced, and you can buy some extra stuff with experience points. You can kind of build up your character with experience. Right now, the experience box isn't as necessary because there aren't many scenarios out there, only 2. Yeah, so it's not. Yeah, if there would be more, I would recommend the experience box. Now, the other thing is that with the Revolution series, and I put the whole Revolution series, but Halo Project is the one that I recommend to try first, is that you can play them in any order. You don't have to. There's no kind of a cohesive overarching story that they try to promote in the initial time stories. It's not here, and that's good, because you can be really disappointed in an overarching story. So here you can just play the scenarios in an order you want to, and I'm looking forward to the Haunted Mansion scenario. So, and I would recommend you to try this one out. It streamlines, it fixes time stories in a sense, so you might enjoy it much more. Time Stories Evolution, Halo Project.
I see. Okay, well, that's a game. Let's. And what's the third option?
So the third option is all about economy and simultaneous action selection, and it's such a great game. And that's called Happy Pigs.
No, I played that one.
You played that one. You didn't rate
I
it.
played it with you. Oh, it's probably from back in my days when I was not rating very many things. But yes, I've played Happy Pigs. In fact, I played it with you.
Sadly. All right. So it was very long time ago.
A very memorable opportunity for you.
Do you remember the game? Let me just.
Yes.
Let's still keep it, but I'll still talk about the game briefly so people know about the game. So Happy Pigs is all about economy and simultaneous action selection. Each round, you draw a card which gives you the distribution of action points on different actions, possible actions. Then simultaneously, you all choose one action you want to do. Mating action, or growing pigs and feeding pigs, or selling them, or vaccinating them, whatever, And if more than one person chooses the same action, you have to distribute the action points as evenly as possible between players. If only one person goes there, they get all the action points to spend, which is great. You're trying to outsmart your opponents. Really cool idea. The season cards that give you those action point distributions, they also have some kind of an event going on, which kind of gives you the, like, for example, you can sell better this round. So say everybody's like, I need to really use that sell action, but I know that everybody's going to sell, so I'm not going to, get many action points and etc. So it gives you this extra layer of thinking. It's a fun, easygoing, but quite economic, kind of also engine building game. Happy Pigs, very colorful. You can buy ducks, penguins, sheep. I don't know, many different.
Everybody their own animal.
Yeah, you can buy different animals. They do not add any kind of mechanism. They're just there for fun. Mm-hmm. You can, collect ducks instead of pigs. So, yeah, that's that. So, Happy Pigs. You played that one very long time ago. You didn't rate it, so I blame you.
That's fine.
Anyway,
I can accept your blame. I should go in and rate it. I probably should play it again if I'm going to rate it, but because I don't remember. I remember liking it. So I'm surprised I didn't rate it, but it was probably before I was recording all of my plays, and you're right. I have not rated it. Anyway, all right. Are you ready for my super surprise verdict?
Yes.
All right. Well, I'm going to say goodbye to Time Stories in any
Shocking.
form. I am
How could you?
So out with that game, and I don't think that there's anything other than an angelic visitation that would get me to play it again. Um,
I see.
then on the try, I would try Arctic Scavengers. Um, I am not. I don't know. I think deck building games have evolved past that point, but I'd be willing to give it a try. And
Okay.
I would buy because I have a, a copy of Happy Pigs. Because I actually enjoy that game. I think that game works well as long as you get the right player count. That's kind of the game's only weakness is you need the right number of people, and they all need to be kind of quick about it. But if you play with the right people, that game can really sing.
Yeah, it's something. It's action selection. So the more people, the more of that kind of a
Yeah.
you are trying to get the action points away from another player. So you're going there because you know if they go there, they'll have a huge turn. I like that too. All right, so here we are with buy, try, goodbye. So let's say goodbye to buy, try, goodbye.
Goodbye.
But you should try Time Stories. The Halo Project.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm. Anyway, let's get to the topic of the day, which is first impression, second chance. And this is a top 5. So
Yes.
the big difference that I promoted at the beginning of the show.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's like as I said, it's going to be a huge. All right, so yeah, we'll try with top 5 from now on. Let's see how it goes because it will make the episodes shorter, and
Hopefully.
and we might get some other topics in
To make
that
them
might be
longer
interesting.
again.
Make it longer again, but with other topics.
All right.
But without further ado, let's start with number. Oh, wait, do you wanna tell
Let's
crowd?
talk about what we're talking about first here.
Yeah.
First impression, second chance was my idea here. These are games where when you initially looked at it or were exposed to it, you kind of got an impression, and then later on you gave it a second chance, and it either and it changed your mind, right? I mean, either for the better or for the worse. It could be a game that you were really super excited about and was disappointing, or it could be a game that you looked at and you thought, "Ooh, I don't want to try that," and then you went back to it and thought, "Oh, that was actually pretty good."
Yeah, so this is a kind of a combination of surprise and disappointment lists, kind
It
of a
is.
mix of that. And so I threw in games that I also tried and might have not liked it, and then I tried it again. It's like it's not only the first impression from just looking at it, but first impression from playing as well.
Okay. Now we can start with number 5.
Yes.
All right. My number 5 is the only one that's going to be a disappointment on here because I tend to be pleasantly surprised, or at least remember pleasant surprises. But this was an unpleasant surprise. And my
Mm.
second, after I gave it a chance, a first chance, and a second chance, and a third chance, I realized it wasn't very good. But I was super excited about it right at the beginning. And that game is Dice Throne Adventures.
Mm-hmm.
So, Dice Throne is a game I love. I've always loved Dice Throne. It's just a fantastic little roll the dice and battle each other. And they came out with a dungeon crawl version of it, where you would take your character and develop your character, and you'd go through this dungeon and you'd
Wonderful.
fight with people. And it came out with these nice
Amazing.
painted minis. And
Mm.
I was super excited about Dice Throne Adventures. Then I played it, and it's terrible. I mean, it's the most monotonous game. Whereas Dice Throne, you sort of have this head to head. Am I going to try it? Am I going to play the dice? Am I going to play the cards? In this game, you're just kind of rolling dice against various monsters in this room, and then in the next room, it's another monster with different dice symbols. And in the next room, it's another monster, and it just goes on for hours. It takes forever to set
Mm-hmm.
up. The rules weren't all very clear. Even when you got to the big battles, they weren't very much fun. It took all of the joy and sucked it out. So when I was super excited as my first impression, and really very out once I tried it.
Well, that's bad. And
Yeah, I said there was only going to be one bad one.
the painted minis didn't change your mind. Oof.
No, in fact, now I have a bunch of painted minis I don't have anything to do with.
Put them in other games. I don't know.
Well, but they're dice thrown characters.
Oh, I see.
I
You should have showed this game to me. I might have liked it. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So let me explain. You can't buy this. This is a huge box, like a huge box, and you cannot play it without also buying another copy of Dice Throne, because it doesn't come with any of the characters. You have to take the characters from your copy of Dice Throne and use them with this.
To hear my excitement?
So if you had taken my copy of Dice Throne Adventures, which you would have been welcome to, you would not have been able to play it.
Do you still hear my excitement?
I do.
It's there. Mm-hmm. Anyway, oh, that's bad. That's really bad. But let's get to my number 5. So my number 5 is something that when I looked at this game, the box, the board, it screamed adventures. Great adventures, mage and the archer and the warrior. We go, we fight the dragon, we fight whatever else. The game is called Legends of Ender. Look.
I need to try this one again.
The only adventure I had with this game is selling this game.
Oh.
That was a little bit of adventure. Nobody really wanted it. Look.
You could throw it away if you didn't want it.
That wouldn't be an adventure. That would be a straight defeat. Look. Okay. When we first played the game, and this game, like it's a story and things. It's like the art is amazing, and was like, ooh, you don't have to learn the rules. You go through this kind of a story deck. It teaches you the game and progresses you through the story. Oh, it's when I first played the game, I was like, okay, so the very first scenario is really boring. I mean, it teaches you through the game, but it's not functional. The story is not really there. And it's a puzzle game, a precise puzzle game where you are not, like, you look at the box, you have a mage, you have an archer. No, you will not go running, fighting the monster and defending the castle. You have to figure out what monsters can invade your castle, what monsters cannot. Because if you kill monsters, the time track goes on and on until you lose the game. And you need to precisely puzzle out your movement and the monster's movement and everything else in order to win the scenario. And if you do a mistake or two in the middle of that scenario, you're done. You won't be able to win that scenario. You have to, there's only it seemed to me that there's only one particular strategy to defeat that particular scenario. So it's one way to do that. You have to figure out what's the way to do that. By that time, we've given this game, how many chances? I don't remember. We played like 4 times. Like we're like, or 3 or 4 times. Like it shouldn't be that bad. Let's give it another chance. No, it's still bad. No. Something's wrong. Let's give it another chance. Oh, it's still bad. So it's like first impression was amazing. Second chance was first impression was amazing, but the first chance we gave the game was bad. The second chance was really bad, and the third chance was even better.
Okay. Yeah, I need to try this one again. It's been a while. I don't remember having the same experience you seem to have had with it. I remember enjoying it, but being really disappointed that the box told me I had 6 scenarios, but one of them was the tutorial and one was create your own. And I remember that left a bad taste in my mouth. Mm-hmm. But I don't know. I'll have to find my copy and try it again sometime.
It promises something else. It could have been a very simple, abstract kind of Azul type puzzle, spatial puzzle kind of a thing. it's not an adventure fantasy game.
Okay.
Shut up about it. Anyway, Legend of Ender.
There we go.
Don't give it any chances. Let's get to number 4.
Let's go.
I was thinking about it for a moment. From now, I wanted to say that from now on I have positive things, but no, my number 4 will not be a positive thing. Let's go.
All right. All right. My number 4 is positive. This is a game that I have grown to like very, very much. But when I first saw it, I thought, ugh. I don't know why. I looked at the box, I looked at the components, I watched a review, and it just didn't look all that interesting to me. It just looked like the kind of very simple cooperative game that I don't know that I would ever really need to get into. But eventually it won an award, and so I thought, well, okay, I'll give it a try. And that game is Paleo. Which has nothing to do with the diet craze. But Paleo actually turned out that even though it just had kind of a boring-looking mammoth on the cover, it turns out that it's a great game of sort of discovery and exploration.
Cool.
What's that? Oh, somebody made some.
Yeah, that's really cool.
They made it with the sticks and the. Oh, that's funny. Anyway,
yeah,
that's not actually a feature of the game. That makes
it a very looks cool.
Game.
Looks really cool. Okay, but anyway, yeah.
So the way the game works now, I will say the game is probably best with 2. If you play it with 3, it's okay. If you play it with 4, it's not very good. But with 2, it's amazing. You're going to go through, and you'll combine a couple of scenarios basically, and you'll shuffle up some decks. And as you're going through the deck, you're looking for ways to win. Right? There's this painting which is basically how you track your points. But you don't quite know how you're going to get there from the start of the game. And so you'll kind of look at 3 cards on the back and you'll think, okay, this might be something good. This might be something bad. I need stone, so I'm going to go for this. Whatever it might be, you flip over one of those cards and then you resolve it. And it could be something amazing. It could be something terrible. It could be a cave with spooky eyes and you're thinking, let's go in there. But when you realize that on the other side of the cave with spooky eyes is something horrible that you can't handle, surprise, you also know that for the next time. And so as you're going through this deck of cards, your first day you might be just trying to survive. The second day you've got an impression of where things were, how things worked, and then the second and third and fourth times you're sort of building yourself toward these different ideas and goals. And that can make it a very fascinating experience. There's also an expansion which changes the game significantly, but in a good way. I enjoy the expansion as well. It gives you other things to focus on and changes the value of different types of actions. But either way, I really grew to enjoy Paleo a lot. And so I'm glad I gave it a second chance.
Yeah, it's a... When I heard about the game, it was already hyped enough, I think. It was like, okay, it must be a good game. So when I played it, it was a surprise in the sense that I liked it that much. But, I kind of expected to like it. So,
okay.
Yeah, a cool choice. All right, my number 4 is another kind of on a disappointment side. So, as I probably said we made a top 10 disappointments a long time ago, I think. And as I said, probably there is that I love the video game. And when the new edition of the board game came out, I was like, ooh. I think, or was it pre-order or something like that? I was like, ooh, the art looks great. I'm finally going to be able to experience the great Civilization game. And I'm talking about Civilization New Dawn. So my expectations on that were like looking at that like, ooh, it's going to be the Civilization game. It's I really hyped it up in my head. And look, the card mechanism, which is used now in Arc Nova, where you use a card, it becomes more expensive, but eventually as you use other cards, this card, goes down the river, let's say, and it river of cards, and then it becomes, or here, I don't remember exactly, it was like more powerful, less powerful, something like that. So this mechanism of Arc Nova, where it becomes more powerful as you wait a little bit more and use other cards. So this one here was implemented first. I don't know if it maybe was implemented in other games, but this is the first I saw this one. Amazing mechanism. Love that. Now, everything else was as abstract as it could be. Basically, taking away the soul, taking it away the whole fun about Civilization, the video game, Sid Meier's Civilization. And then you have this on the box. It's not just the Civilization New Dawn. It's Sid Meier's Civilization New Dawn. It's there. It's based on the video game, but it's not. And look,
but it's not.
It was on the cruise, by the way. So I think I probably ordered the copy.
Yeah, I remember.
Yeah, I think I got a copy through you or something like that. Bought it on Cool Stuff. Probably something like that. And then I got my copy, or maybe I brought it. I don't remember. I had my copy. I didn't punch it yet. It was like, I just have my copy. And there was another person who was already, setting it up. I had it with me. Mm-hmm. And the person sitting on was like, okay, I don't have to, then unpack my copy. Let's play your copy. Mm-hmm. And we played it. And I put my copy on sale because, oh my, it's so abstracted. It's like you have the barbarians can kill your cities, and in one turn, there's like an influence spreading and everything like that. Just nothing made sense at all, and I was so disappointed. So yeah, that's Civilization New Dawn.
I was not disappointed with this one because I played the first one and did not like it, and I thought, well, I don't need to try the second one, and so I didn't play it. So I've not been disappointed by it yet.
Wait, I have some issues with my mouse here.
Oh,
just for a moment. I accidentally clicked too many times.
Oh.
Let me see just for a moment. Okay, that's fine. That's fine. I'm sorry about that. Just give me a moment. Ooh, nah. Nice. Good. I'm back. Anyway, yeah, Civilization Dawn. The hype in my head was extreme. The outcome was abysmal.
Okay.
Let's get to number 3.
Let's go. All right, my number three. My number 3 is kind of one of the first games I thought of when I thought of this idea. And this is a game where I saw people playing it and I was out. I mean, it did not look great. It had paper money. It had these kind of cheap, funky cardboard, boring looking boxes that you put on the board and you put dice in them. It had a weird score track. It was very garish artwork. And I was like, I just have no interest in this game. And then a couple of years later, I was cornered and forced to play it. And that game is Lords of Vegas.
Okay.
And I loved it. It was just so fascinatingly fun. All right, it still looks ugly. I think if you pull up a picture, you'll see that this does not look like a very beautiful game. It's got these kind of
looks okay.
Large... maybe it looks better in the picture. It does not look great on the table. It does not sell itself well. It has an ugly box, but it's so much fun. It has a very interesting scoring mechanism, which I'm sure we've seen elsewhere, but this is the one I think of, where you're able to kind of buy your points at the end of the turn, so when you're going to get a point, you don't buy them, but when you score for the first 10 points, you just need 1 point to move up. Then to go from the 10 to 12, you have to get 2 points at once to go there. So you can't
Mm-hmm.
get 11 points. And so you've got to kind of keep going, and they get more and more difficult to cross these thresholds as you go by, which is really interesting. And it's a very interactive game. In fact, it can be quite mean. You can go to somebody's casino and gamble there, and if you win, you get to take all their money. Um,
Okay.
but more importantly, you're sort of interfering by, if you build and sprawl your casino out to connect with somebody else's, well, then there can only be one person in charge of the casino, and so you're going to have a bit of a dice off to see who's going to take control of it, and it can be very frustrating if you lose something big because some little guy came in and took it over. But it's possible. You can also, go to places that aren't really yours and just hope they never come up. Because if you can kind of sprawl out to these lots, and if you don't own the lot, that's fine. But if somebody else ever gets it out of their random draw off the deck, well, then they just get it, and it's theirs suddenly. So you have to be careful with that. I mean, there's calculated risks at that point. Anyway, it's really fascinating game. The rules are not complicated, and
Mm-hmm.
it's just a lot of fun. I don't know that it feels all that Vegas-y, other than that you're gambling in people's casinos, but hey, I really was wrong about this one. I'm really glad I eventually gave it a second chance to give me an impression, and I really quite like it.
Okay. Yeah, I've not played that one. Yeah, it never looked exciting, but maybe someday. I'll get to Lords of Vegas. All right. My number 3 is something that might be a surprise for many. But when I first played this game, maybe I was tired, and maybe it was wrong to play it with 5 players. It's such a
Yeah, that's
wrong
all.
idea to play it. Yeah, don't play it with 5 players for the first time. You can play it when you play it for the 100th time. You can play 5 players. I would not recommend to play it for 5 players anyway. And that's Wingspan.
You played it with 5 players the first time.
Or 4, I don't remember.
I thought you played it with me the first time.
I think it goes up to 5 players. Is it?
I've never played this game with 5 players, and I never will.
I played it with you, but I think we played it 5 players. I mean, I remember
I have never
playing
played.
with a lot of people. I mean, maybe 4 or 5, but it's just like the first time I played it, I was kind of a little bit lost. And it just didn't feel great. It was hyped so much. I was like, oh, Wingspan. And I kind of, okay, engine building, yeah, whatever. Didn't really get it. Then eventually, sometime later, like maybe a year later, I go to the board game shop with my ex-girlfriend, and I'm like, I want you to play with me something, It's like, but so I'll let you choose a game that you think you might like, and I show a few games, and they're like based on the theme more, based on the pictures more, And I showed her Wingspan. I told, like, look, this is Wingspan. It's about birds, and she loves nature, and she liked the whole cover and things, like the whole theme. It's like, okay, let's buy this one. I want to play it with you. And then we played it as a 2-player game. It was amazing. It's like the first impression was from playing it for the first time with bigger crowd was bad, and then the second chance was with only 2 players, but probably then I could concentrate. I was teaching it myself. I went through the rulebook and it went through my thinking process, Then I probably grasped it. Then I probably understood what's the whole, not idea, but what's the magic of the game.
Mm-hmm.
And then I loved it instantly. And from now on, I have the nesting box.
Oh yeah,
It
enormous
grew.
box.
It grew on me, and it grew on the shelf, literally.
Well, there's a lot of stuff in there.
Yeah. Now I have the whole chicken looking at me. Yeah.
Now,
Wingspan.
Daniel has said that the 2-player version of Asia is fantastic. I've actually not played that. I've played with
I'm not.
the birds, but I just threw them into my my full copy of Wingspan. So
That's what I heard. I haven't tried myself. I haven't tried the Asian expansion at all yet because we usually play something else. Wingspan is on the back of the list because I try to play the games I haven't played at all, and then get to other games. But we'll get to that. We'll get to that.
I'll have to try it.
Yeah, Wingspan is fun.
Or buy a second copy so that I have have it separate.
Oh, yeah, you might. All right, let's get to number 2.
All right. So my number 2 is a game that I played, and my first play left me just bewildered at where the excitement was coming. This game was so simple, so basic. I wrote it off. I was like, this game's just a total disappointment. And then I saw people wouldn't shut up about it. Everybody loved it. Everybody said, this is amazing. This is amazing. And
Uno?
then what?
Uno?
No, it's not that one. And then eventually more stuff arrived for it. And by infusing more stuff into this game, it really came alive. And I have completely come around on it, and now I really enjoy it. And that game is Marvel United.
Mm-hmm.
The base box is a total disappointment. I mean, it's not even worth owning if all you have is the base box. It's just 3 very basic scenarios to play through, and they all kind of feel the same. The characters don't feel very different or exciting. But once you add in some of its expansions, some of its other characters, it really comes alive. It's sort of this very nice, very quick plug-and-play type of a game where you can easily set up any scenario you like. There's not a whole lot of special parts or pieces needed. You just kind of set it up and get a couple of people. There is a solo mode in the game, but the solo mode's terrible. It's still terrible. It always was and always will be. But you could just play with 2 or 3 characters and have a good time. But you're playing a card. The card sort of interacts with other cards that are around it, and you're trying to defeat a villain. The villains are all different in their own separate ways. The heroes are kind of all the same. That's the only still kind of complaint, is that the heroes never really feel all that different. They just have different combinations of symbols and 1 or 2 special powers. But essentially what you're doing is trying to defeat the villain in a specific way. And once you add more stuff into this game, it really comes alive. And so on my second impression was so much more positive than my first.
Okay. Yeah, with the Marvel themed games, I kind of realized for myself, if particular theme become overwhelming on the market, and Marvel is an overwhelming theme on the market, then I tend to not wanting to try any of that particular theme of a game. So Marvel United, Marvel Champions, whatever Marvel, I just don't care because there's just so much Marvel, and I'm not the huge Marvel fan. I watch the movies, I like them, but
that's your first impression. Now you have to give it a second chance.
I might, but that's the thing. It's so hard to get myself to play these games because I'm so tired of hearing about this theme. Like, try to come up with unique themes. Stop. I'm sorry, milking the cow. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
There are no cows in this game. All right, go
it's
ahead.
Like Star Wars everywhere. Like, now it's Marvel. What's next? What's the next Marvel? Dune? No, I don't think Dune will be there.
That movie was anyway. Let's move on to your number 2.
My number 2 is a game that you talked about on many different occasions, in recent plays, during top 10s. You're always talking about this game like, okay, boring. I look at the pictures. You exchange coins into other coins. It just looks so boring on the table. It looks so small and so abstract in a sense, and it is abstract, by the way. but it's called Nidavellir. So
I've heard of that game.
it's not like it's your fault that I didn't want to play the game, but kind of you talking about the game. The more you talked about it, the less I wanted to play it.
Thanks.
Look, it's not your fault, but you are responsible for that. No, it just when I talk about this game, when I tell people about this game, like, oh, you exchange. I'm excited. You exchanging coins as well. Like they're looking at me like, oh, can I play a fantasy game instead or something like that? You know, with miniatures, whatever. You know, it's like it's not exciting. It's not exciting when you tell about the game. It's more exciting when you play the game. But it is abstract. You should go in there with the thought that it's gonna be abstract. It's gonna be just collect the cards and get the points based on whatever the card's scoring requirement is. Now, Nidavellir, when I played it for the first time, eventually like, okay, so I don't want Kyle to talk about this game anymore. I want to play it now. Like, just to be sure that it might be good. I think I bought it, something like that, to play it. And
so did I.
I was I was pleasantly surprised because through this abstract nature and just collecting cards, this coin exchange, extremely simple yet satisfying. Mm-hmm. Getting the cards, putting the cards as a bidding on your playmat is satisfying. Everything you do in this game is kind of satisfying. It's simple. It's simple to learn. It just was such a satisfying experience. Like, okay, I was wrong about the game in my head. This is actually so. I gave it a kind of a second chance after my first impression, and it was a positive one. Nidavellir, my number 2.
I'm glad you enjoyed it. I enjoy it too.
You do?
I do.
What?
It's funny, I know.
All right, let's get to number 1.
Let's go. All right. My number 1 is a game where my first impression was, oh my goodness, this looks really ugly. It looks kind of dumb. It looks like there's a lot of rules. It looks like there's not all that much game there. It's just kind of moving things around a very abstract looking board. I saw it on Kickstarter. I passed on it on Kickstarter. I watched some videos and people said it's great, but I was like, this doesn't look like it's for me.
Nidavellir?
Then I went to Gen Con with my brother one year, and we went into this room where they had set up a table with this game, and they showed us how it worked, and we both immediately bought it. And it has since been one of my top favorite games, and that game is Too Many Bones.
Yeah.
I mean, this is a game. Look, I think the artwork is ugly. I think the game
the box
does
is
not.
ugly.
Well, the box is ugly. The characters are drawn. It's a style of character that I think looks ugly. There's a lot of information. A lot of information on those mats. There's a lot of information. I mean, on these, each one comes with this huge sheet of keywords that are used just on it. Then the sort of mat where you move the characters around for the battle is just a 4x4 grid with circles. And everything about the game just said I wasn't going to like it. Except when I played it, it was just, it was love at first play. Look, this game is has so many barriers to entry, right? It is as expensive as it's more expensive than you probably imagine. I don't know what the current price is for the base box, but it's a lot. There are rules. My sister refers to this game as too many rules because there are so many rules, and the rules are so poorly written. This game, So first of all, you have to spend a bundle to get it. Secondly, you have to really try to make it through that rule book. And third, you then have to learn all these different characters to play it and figure them out. And it's not like you learn one and the other one is completely the same. No, they're all very different. So, and you just really have to work to like this game. And so that's why I'm really glad I tried the demo,
Mm-hmm.
because otherwise I would never have tried this game. It had so many things going against it, but I'm glad my first impression of having seen it and looked into it was wrong, because I really like this game. As I think you probably know, I talk about it quite a bit. But there you go. My first impression was wrong. I'm glad I gave it a second chance.
Yeah, the more you talk about the game, the less I want to try
Uh-huh.
it. Like everything you tell about the game, like, but it's too many rules. It's abstract. It's doesn't look good. I'm like, okay, you're selling the game really well. I'm like, okay.
Yeah, I know. I went through that same analysis. I'm just wondering. While we're looking, I'm wondering how much it's going for right now. It's a lot more than I think you would think it is. Yeah, $149
That's something I would definitely want to spend
for
on
just the
this
base
abstract
box.
game.
And you can get the other expansions for there's one for $100, and the others are $30 each for one additional
Uh
character.
huh. Uh huh. Uh huh. Let's get to my number one.
Yeah,
It costs less. My number one costs less.
less than
So I mean,
$149 just for the.
you knew when you proposed this list, you knew this game's gonna be on my list.
Oh yes,
Because
I know.
I mean, it's that's the number one thing that came to my mind is this game. When we talk about first impression, second chance, this is the game I didn't want in our collection. This is the game I didn't want to play at all. This is the game like, no, it will never step a foot into our house, and
Never
it's
did,
still,
because it doesn't have feet.
and yet again, because of Kyle, we had to buy the game, and thankfully, I loved the game, and I loved the game much more than the person who wanted to get this game in the first place, and that's Stockpile. Of course, yeah. I'm not going to talk about that much, but when you look at the box, when you look at the components, it doesn't scream excitement. And at that time, it's 2015 game. So at that time, when I was playing like some bigger cooperative games, it's like you have this Arkham Horror, Epic Adventures things, and then you have Cyclades, you have Kemet, whatever, everything, like really cool stuff. Some Euro stuff as well. But like stock market. Is it like 18xx adjacent? I'm like, it screams boring all over the place.
It does.
But then when I played it, that is still my biggest ever surprise of a game. It's like how much I thought I would like it. It's like I was like, never. It's like 1 out of 10, and then played it like, ooh, it's a 10 out of 10. This kind of thing in an instant. Because I like managing money in games. And the gameplay here is a little bit of that outsmarting your opponents, a little bit of that impartial information. I love all of that. The simplicity of the gameplay. It's very simple, really. It has a few phases, things, yeah. It's on the scale of weight, I would say it's like the wingspan. It's also a little bit of extra, but it's not too much. Putting some cards face down, so you're not really know what you're getting. It's I like that exploration kind of a feel. It's everything I want from a game is here, kinda, except the artwork and the theme, probably. But
Okay.
I like managing the stocks. It's wow, and it would have never happened if I would not be open to finally at least kinda like it. I didn't say I will buy it, but when we made this kind of a bet, I knew I will not survive against you. And the bet was, if other people don't know, the bet was who stays longer playing games. And I knew that I could not I could not win against you. And that means I knew that I will have to buy the game. And that's when I kind of gave it a second chance.
Okay, well, there you go. Yeah, I'm glad you liked this game. I'm also glad you liked Nidavellir. I always
Yeah.
like when people like games that I recommend.
All right. So here it is, episode 77. And thank you for watching. And
Absolutely.
yeah, we'll see you another time. Kyle on Wednesday Whimsy and me in another episode of Würfelcast. I might do
Whenever
a
you
quick
get around.
dive. Yeah. Whenever we post something, you'll see that. Anyway.
All right, perfect.
So, anyway, bye bye, folks.
Bye bye.